Well, welcome everyone to Real People, Real Stories, where we are interviewing people just like you and me who've had success with redox molecules. My name is Dr. Barbie Phillips, and I'm coming to you from Fargo, Oklahoma. I've been a chiropractic physician for people and animals for 25 years. And I was introduced to these molecules about 4.5 years ago by our co-host, which we will introduce to you in just a few minutes. Now, if you're new to redox molecules, let me tell you just a little bit about them. Our body produces redox molecules naturally. They're native to the human body, and they're so important for cellular communication. They tell all our cells what to do, and they help our cells heal. But what can happen, especially after about the age of puberty, we start losing about 1% per year of these molecules and the ability to make them. So what that does is it makes it to where sometimes our cells can't heal or they can't heal as fast as they should, and we can come up with XYZ problem. So we are not intending to diagnose or treat any medical condition tonight, so I do want to make that disclaimer. But I would like to mention two forms of these redox molecules. One is our liquid form, and then one is the gel form that we rub on. And Marcus, our guest tonight, is going to share a little bit about his journey with it. But I want to mention that when you take these molecules, it is a way to replenish what your body no longer can make. And these molecules are tiny little molecules. So when they're absorbed into the cells, they work very quickly. They're absorbed very quickly, and they start acting as a on-off switch to the cells. When that happens, they start affecting the cells around them, and it just acts as a cascade effect until over time, our body increases the ability to have resilience to stress and can perform better. So I will turn it over to our co-host right now, to Kathleen Oliveri, and let her introduce herself and tell a little about her background, and then she will introduce our guest.
Hello and welcome. And we're so glad to have you watch this tonight. And I'm Kathleen Oliveri. I'm coming to you from Mississippi. I have been taking these molecules for over 5 years, and the change for me has been tremendous. And I'm so glad that you are watching to learn more about this. I would like to welcome our guest today, Marcus. How are you doing today?
Now that I'm on, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. So now, Marcus, where are you coming from tonight?
I am down on the coastal bend in Texas. That's where the coast of Texas kind of bends around. It's Corpus Christi, Texas is the name of the city. And I was born and raised here, but I had to go to San Antonio, Texas to find out about redox.
Well, so tell me, how did you find out about redox signaling molecules?
Well, actually, it was right before the election, coming up on a 4-year anniversary here, right before the election of 2020. I was up knocking on doors for a political candidate, and the person they gave me to knock on doors with was none other than Gary Ramsey. And Gary, now Gary has gone on to his reward now. But he was just a really, really encouraging guy. And the first thing he told me when we met each other was that I've got something that can really help your health and might even put some money in your pocket. And what he told, I've had seen both of those things happen.
So tell me, when you first of all, let me just say that is a very unique story. I can't say I've ever heard anything like that before. How you were knocking on doors and he ended up sharing with you. I just think that's marvelous.
Now, let me qualify that. He was my partner, my door knocking partner. Okay, we were working together in a political campaign for Chip Roy, which a lot of you all have seen on television.
Got it.
And Chip did get elected. I'm not sure I could say that I had any credit for it, but Gary and I were walked around the whole weekend. And again, the first time I met him, he says, "I got something for you that'll really help your health and might even put some money in your pocket." And so after at the end of that weekend, which was a Sunday afternoon, he told me he'd buy me lunch. And when I got to the restaurant, there's this great big old tall guy uh, with gray hair, but he looked like he was about, oh gosh, maybe early 50s, and it turned out to be Jim Glenn. And so Jim sat down and he told me all about Redox, and it sounded like a really really promising uh, uh, path, if you will. But one of the things I told him, I'd been in other network marketing things, and I said, look, if I can go and find something that is the same thing as what you're telling me about, if I can go down to Walmart and buy it, I'm out, because Walmart will always sell it cheaper. And even if it's not as potent a product as as I can get in the networking, it can always be bought cheaper, and that makes the whole experience kind of collapse on itself. And well, that was one of the things that nobody else in the world has it. We've got the company that makes it, and all the patents and the trade secrets, and nobody else has redox signaling molecules. And so that got my attention even more.
So Walmart does not make this. No one else makes it or sells it. And so, yes, it is unique. And I can see how that would be something that you would be very interested in, in knowing. So when you started to take the product, take the redox signaling molecules, tell me how that process went for you.
Well, I've always been pretty healthy. I mean, I think I went to the doctor one time during COVID, um, and that was to get to get a prophylactic treatment of hydroxychloroquine, which they wouldn't give me, but it still cost me the $125 at the doctor. Anyway, so I other than that, I hadn't been to the doctor in years. I'm healthy, I don't, and so, but I recognized what the product was right off, and recognize that it could really help people, with their appearance, help people with discomfort, and help people that had life altering issues. And so I jumped in, and the first thing that I noticed was it used to be that I'd have to have a hermetically sealed compartment to put my dirty socks in, because if I didn't, the whole house would smell like a locker room. And but my feet quit stinking, and I understand that that's because I started putting off toxins the way they're supposed to be put off, instead of through my feet. So that was the first thing, and that was a happy thing. Another thing that I recognized early on is that if I had a stomach issue, now if you're not in Texas, but in Texas we have these little places called Laredo Taco Companies that's connected to a lot of the convenience stores, and they got these new yellow salsas that were made of habanero, and I love the taste of it. But as soon as I swallowed them, and that salsa got into my stomach, I was in pain. I mean, I was in pain. And well, I thought to myself, well, I got this redox stuff. Let me see if that does any good. So I took a 2-ounce shot of the redox, and the pain was gone. It was like night and day. It just like it turned the switch, like we were talking about. It flipped the switch, and the pain was gone, and that was a happy thing. I've also every now and then I will get a hold of something that I probably shouldn't have eaten. Maybe something that sat out a little bit too long, or overdid its time in the refrigerator, even after I warmed it up. And I'd get a kind of a sour feeling in my stomach, and I recognize that as the beginning of food poisoning. And food poisoning is nothing more than a little a colony of bugs that gets in food, and it stays in it, and it stays in it and stays alive even after you swallow it, and it goes down in your stomach. And sure enough, uh, a 4 ounce shot of ASEA knocked that out. I mean, and because what ASEA is, it's what I mean. We've been told that it used to be they'd put ASEA in a little petri dish, and they could put any kind of pathogen in it, and the pathogen would be gobbled up or seared, or it would be gone in a matter of seconds. Now, I hadn't heard about this yet, but I know we're not talking about anything that can treat or cure or diagnose or prevent any kind of disease. Okay, but what redox signaling molecules are is actually what our body makes for ourselves that fixes the things that go wrong in our bodies in nature. Okay, and I was listening. I think it was Barbie that was telling us about teenagers when you hit puberty. And one of the things that I can remember, uh, and we always talk about it, is children, little ones. They've got lots and lots and lots of energy, and they just go and go and go and go. But right around the time they turn into teenagers, all of a sudden they're laying around the house, okay, and can't. I mean, don't even want to get off the sofa. And that came to me that's probably where the first tranche of their redox signaling molecules left them. And so they just don't have the energy now. The ones that that are in sports and everything like that, they get off the sofa. But anyway, but back to my experience. I'm sorry. So yeah, anything in my stomach, if I mean in my gastrointestinal, if I have an issue, I just take a shot of ASEA and it goes away. Uh, and also now it took a while for this to make a difference in my skin, but it used to be that I could not even walk in front of a bush in the yard without walking away and having a little trickle go down my arm, because any little stick on a bush would just puncture my skin, and that little trickle going down my arm, I didn't even know it when it happened, but later on somebody said, "What are you bleeding about?" And sure enough, I'd have a little trail of blood, draining down my arm, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I wiped it off, got a wet rag or whatever, and the bleeding stopped pretty quick. But now with ASEA, I can go, uh, so to speak, mano a mano with the meanest bush in the yard, and I don't it my skin doesn't tear up like it used to, which is a wonderful thing. Now I have not had the bee sting experience, but I've been around two people that had that literally got a wasp or a yellow jacket sting, and put some Renew 28 on it, and instantly the discomfort from a bug sting just disappeared. Okay. Now that didn't mean that it didn't itch and swell a little bit because the venom that was injected, but the sting, which is, I mean, the scary thing about, or the uncomfortable thing about a bee sting, just went away right now. Let's see, what other fun stuff? Uh, Bee stings. Oh, and the 3 times in 5 minutes. I have talked about 3 times in 5 minutes more times than I can count. And I have experienced 3 times in 5 minutes almost as many times as I can count.
Explain what that means. So if somebody doesn't know.
Okay, well, if you don't know about 3 times in 5 minutes, one of our medical experts from our medical board, Dr. David Silverman. Now, I understand that he heard this from someone else, but he's the one that made it famous. He said, if you really want to know if redox works, get a tube of the Renew 28. Oh, there it is. Get a tube of Renew 20. Let's see if I can get this in the light where you can see it. There it is. Okay. Renew 28. Get that and shake it up real good. Okay. And then it's important to rate the level of discomfort. Okay. It could be a 3, it could be a 5, a 2 or a 3 is just a little bit of, irritation. If it goes to 5, it kind of hurts. If it goes to 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, it's just, oh, you just don't want to do anything. But anyway, so you rate that discomfort, and then you take your Renew 28, you shake it up real good, and then you put just about a blueberry size. There it is. Blueberry size, and you rub it right there on your throat. Rub it real good into. And Dr. Silverman says you got to do that until it dries. Sometimes if you get your little glob is too big, it takes a while to dry. Okay, so you do that once, and then there's another little bit there. Do it again.
And then I do think it's important to keep rubbing that in until it dries. That's a step that I know I have sometimes not always done.
Right. Or at least until it gets tacky.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do that one more time. Now I'm trying to remember what was not feeling right before I'd started this.
Here, can you put this on the door, Jerry, please?
Do what?
On the door.
One on the door. This.
And so this is something that you have been doing when you do have something that's of discomfort.
Right. When I have a discomfort, I will, and sometimes I get a little discomfort in my hand. Now I don't do the 3 times in 5 minutes. I put a blob right in the middle of my palm, and then I just wash my hands, just like I'm over a sink, and it does, it gets my hands real clean, because it's got Redox in it, and Redox is it has a cleansing action to it. So anyway, 3 times in 5 minutes, and I have myself experienced it, and I've been in the presence of people over and over and over again that they do 3 times in 5 minutes, and then they say, "What did you do to me?" Of course, now one of the things I have to qualify, I don't have a license, like Miss Barbie, to put hands on people. You're not supposed to put hands on people unless you've got a license to do it. So I make sure that either them or somebody that's their friend puts the gel on them. Okay, but literally people they're amazed. They say, what is it? Because it's gone. I mean, my discomfort is just gone, and that's an exciting. It's exciting to be there when somebody loses their discomfort. And that's what I've been finding out with ASEA.
That is wonderful. That it's very interesting that it's still a great product and great to have these, even if you are in good health. Because it's those little discomforts that if we don't get a handle on them can become big discomforts, and that is no good. And we do want to live our best life, and the energy, having energy, I had not thought about with teenagers, but I think that is something worth noting. I think that's that really is something to think about and to consider. What I would like to do is open it up to questions from our audience. We have a nice group on here live, and if you have a question for Marcus today, please feel free to unmute your microphone. You can unmute your video camera as well if you want to show that, but we are taking any questions that you may have. Hey, Marita.
Good evening, Marcus. Thank you for sharing with us.
It's my pleasure.
How have you built your business? Have you had a lot of workshops weekly or one-on-ones or Zooms, or how have you built your business there in Texas?
Well, I'm very thankful that I am in part of Jim and Ann Glenn's organization, and Jim and Ann have been, actually they were coming to Corpus Christi before I went to San Antonio and found ASEA, and they kept coming, and the building the business, just what it all comes down to is just keeping on telling people about ASEA. Okay, and it may be a long time, and for me right now, I'm in a long stretch between somebody that and I keep telling them about it. Okay, but I'm in a long stretch between somebody who I've told about it and they jumped in and started doing the business. Now, many of the people that I have brought into the business are doing really, really good right now. But it really comes down to just telling people and not telling them much. Okay, I tell them a little bit, and then my classic line is, if I try to explain this to you, I'm going to confuse myself and I'm going to scare you. Okay, so instead of trying to tell you all about it, I'll just send you a video. Okay, and then I just say, and what I pick up my phone. This is really important. There it is. Okay, I pick up my phone and I look at the screen and say, and what number should I send that to? And I'll be quiet. Okay.
That is great. I
Okay,
think
because if I start talking again, okay, it goes off that way. Okay, but if I just absolutely be quiet, say what number should I send that to? If they are interested, they're going to give me the number. Okay. If they're not interested, it wouldn't make any difference if they did give me the number. Okay. But just and then I'll send them Redox. Oh, I just got a new one from Dr. Silverman. Denny Robinson put it on Facebook just a couple days ago. For someoneyouLove.com. It's just spelled out FORSOMEONEYOULOVE.com. Okay. And that is a little 4-minute video of Dr. David Silverman. And it's kind of updated because I think he's done that a while back, but he made a new one this last week or last month when everybody was off in Salt Lake City. The medical board was gathering together, and basically what that is, I mean, you recognize what this is. If you recognize what this is, it may not be for you right now, but there may be someone you love, someone that really, really needs this. Okay, and so and that's not me saying it, but it's the doctor. Okay, it's doctor, and if I tried to say it, people would look at me and say, "Who are you? You're just an Uber driver," which I am an Uber driver. And I do tell just about everybody that gets in the car. I'm kind of like Barbara Stoles. I'm a driver that evangelizes redox signaling molecules.
Marcus, you're a man of many talents.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Tammy, you had a question, I believe.
You're muted.
There we
There
go.
you're on.
Hi. I
Hi.
think I can't remember if I muted. Hi, how are you? Thank
I'm
you
good,
for
good.
sharing.
Well, thanks for
I
having me.
caught in on when you said that you were anything that you touched in the yard would cause you to bleed. Was this something like that you likened? Was your skin? Was it just very sensitive to tears, or thin, or what?
Right. It was very sensitive to I mean anything, and I mean not if I didn't bleed, the other thing that I would do is bruise. Okay. If
Okay,
the
so
skin
bruising
didn't
also.
tear,
Mhm.
and now and every now and then I'll pick up a bruise now, but my skin has stopped tearing. Now, if I hit something, I mean hit it hard, okay, enough to break the skin, I can still do that. Okay, but
Mhm.
just as far as a little twig or something catching my skin and tearing it, that doesn't happen to me, and that's
Okay.
and again, I have had occasion to go into the nastiest bush in the yard, and I won.
Yeah. Well, the reason that caught my attention is because I have a new share that I did this morning through a dear friends to dear friends of ours, and it was for her mother, and she shared her daughter had shared with me over the weekend that her mom was experiencing these skin tears and other issues in her health, and so that brought me, to share again. And I've tried to, introduce this to her. And so her daughter, um, her her dad is an MD, and
Oh,
so this is, her mom and dad, and this is something, today this morning I sent Triple R to her. She asked me to send some information that she was going to forward to her mom. And so therefore I was, I was searching for a specific, some testimonials about skin, and the health of the skin for one. And so I didn't know if maybe the new site that you also just mentioned might be something that I should share for someone you love.
right. Well,
Dot
that
com.
that is literally Dr. David Silverman.
Mhm.
And he's actually right after that. He does a tour of the production facility. But he's basically saying, look, if you don't have any, if you're completely healthy and you don't need, redox signaling molecules, that's fine. Okay. But hearing about what this does and knowing about,
Yeah.
what it can do. And by the way, if you're looking for a really good testimonial about thin skin, okay,
Yes.
there's a recording that's being made right now. Okay. And you can
Really.
go get that recording and share that.
Right
We're
now
recording
from
this
this.
session right now.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
you can just get that from whoever's making. I'm not sure who's doing the recording,
Okay.
but I see up here in the corner it says it's recording. So
Okay.
that's
Awesome. Very good.
now. As long as we're talking about it, this did not happen. It was not an instantaneous change. Okay,
Hmm.
this happened over a period of. It was probably a year and a half when I started recognizing it. And one of
Hmm.
the reasons is I just stayed away from the bushes.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
knew that they weren't good for me, and but
Right.
one day I had to be in the bushes. It was up at church, and we were doing a work day, and so I was in the bushes, and I came out of the bushes, and I said, "Look, got nothing wrong with my arms," So that was a happy day.
Right. Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Tammy. And yes, Dr. Barbie, she will share with y'all in just a minute of where she posts all this, because she does post it in a lot of different places just for this very reason. In fact, why don't we call up Dr. Barbie? Dr. Barbie, do you have any questions, and do you want to go ahead and close us out?
All right, Marcus, thank you so much. That was really great information, and I really appreciated you doing the demo for our viewers as well. That was really great. I would like to mention, and I'm sure you would agree too, Marcus, that we want to make sure people buy these products from a reputable ASEA associate versus online, where you do not know what you're going to get. It's maybe not been stored correctly. It might be a substitute product, etc. So please get with the person that referred you to this Zoom call and discuss more with them about purchasing. So. All the Zoom calls are going to be recorded, obviously, and posted on our Creation Chiropractic YouTube channel, so you can find them there. It will be posted early tomorrow morning. And until then, we want to invite everybody back to our next Zoom call. We normally do these every 2 weeks, but we are going to be October 1st before we do our next call, because we are all going to hopefully be traveling to Salt Lake City, Utah, to this wonderful Redox facility and see our great Redox family, and we're so excited about that. So again, October 1st, 6:30 p.m. Central Time will be our next time, and we'll interview a new guest that will tell us all about their journey with using Redox signaling molecules. Until then, I wish everyone a great night, and thanks for joining us.